While the general public fixates on modern Rolex Submariners and Patek Nautiluses at peak retail, a different group of collectors is operating out of sight. They are accumulating undervalued vintage references before the broader market takes notice. Within the $2,000 to $10,000 price tier, a specific group of 10 watches is actively doubling in value. Some have already completed the move, while others are currently ascending, largely ignored by mainstream headlines. Outsmarting the global watch market requires asymmetric knowledge of history and production data. Investors who understand these specific metrics can identify value where the masses only see old steel. In 1969, the Seiko 6139 Pogue beat the Swiss consortium to market as the world's first automatic chronograph. Its pedigree was solidified when Colonel William Pogue wore it for 84 days in orbit during the NASA Skylab 4 mission. Quality Pogue references have moved from $300 in 2019 to over $2,500 today. The heritage story has finally entered the collector consciousness, and the pricing is reacting accordingly. Between 1956 and 1969, Omega produced the Constellation with a pie-pan dial. This specific architectural design represents a manufacturing era that Omega cannot replicate today, as the original tooling and processes have been lost for decades. Unpolished gold examples are now the primary targets for growth. When the market recognizes that a specific manufacturing technique can never be repeated, it creates a permanent floor for valuation. Issued starting in 1948, the IWC Mark XI was a functional tool built for the British Royal Air Force. It was designed to withstand extreme altitudes and magnetic fields through a soft iron inner case. Authentic military proof marks on the caseback provide a verifiable layer of scarcity. These marks separate the true instrument watches from civilian models, driving significant premiums as the supply of originals dwindles. The Heuer Autavia, reference 2446, transitioned from a dashboard timer to a definitive racing chronograph. Drivers like Joe Sifford wore them during the peak of 1960s Formula One culture, cementing their motorsport utility. While modern reissues have increased brand awareness, they have also highlighted the extreme rarity of the 1960s originals. The supply-side pressure on these authentic 2446 references is driving values higher as collectors seek the source material. Documented combat use and raw motorsport provenance serve as historical anchors. These factors protect the asset's value by linking it to specific, unchangeable events in history. Zenith introduced the El Primero in 1969, featuring an integrated automatic movement that beat at 36,000 vibrations per hour. On a technical level, it surpassed the rival movements being developed by the Swiss establishment at the time. Rolex later licensed this exact movement for the first automatic Daytona, an endorsement that validates the El Primero's engineering. This historical connection suggests the original Zenith A384 is currently undervalued relative to its mechanical contribution. The Longines Weems utilized a rotating inner bezel that allowed pilots to synchronize their watches to radio signals during flight. This was a purely functional mechanical solution for the challenges of mid-century aerial navigation. Usage by Charles Lindbergh and Amelia Earhart provides the Weems with a documented historical authenticity. This provenance gives the watch a level of authority that modern marketing cannot simulate. When the market temporarily overlooks mechanical superiority and verifiable historical use, it creates a buying window for astute collectors. These technical underdogs often see the most violent price corrections. The Seiko 6105-8110 was issued to U.S. Navy divers during the Vietnam conflict, earning a reputation for durability. Its asymmetric case became a cultural icon after appearing on screen in the film Apocalypse Now. Prices for genuine 6105s have tripled recently, largely because the honest tritium patina found on these service-worn watches is impossible for modern manufacturers to replicate. Movado is often associated with modern mall watches, but the mid-1950s Subsea Diver was a product of genuine technical ambition. It featured a unidirectional bezel and a screw-down crown that rivaled any professional diver of the era. Data shows technical parity between the Subsea and early Omega Seamasters. Despite mechanical similarities, Movado trades at a significant discount. This price gap indicates a market lag. Its intrinsic value is disconnected from the asking price, though the trend line is now tilting upward. While cultural icons drive immediate hype, brand amnesia creates the most significant opportunities for asymmetric profit. The Universal Geneve Polerouter served as the official watch for SAS polar flights. It is also the foundational apprentice work of Gerald Genta, the man who would eventually design the world's most valuable luxury sport watches. The market is beginning to recognize the shared design DNA between the Polerouter and Genta's later masterpieces. As this biographical connection becomes common knowledge, the price gap between them is likely to shrink. The Eterna Kon-Tiki diver was named for the 1947 expedition, where Thor Heyerdahl sailed a balsa wood raft across the Pacific. Eterna built the watch to function as a professional instrument for such high-stakes exploration. Prices for the Kon-Tiki have recently climbed from $700 to $5,000. This move reflects the market finally pricing in the specific adventure narrative associated with the name. A link to a legendary designer or daring expedition acts as a delayed fuse. Once verified by the mainstream, rapid market growth usually follows. The market is a living organism that eventually rewards knowledge. Those who identify these historical markers early can acquire assets before the mainstream arrives. These 10 watches represent specific financial opportunities based on data that the broader market is only beginning to process. From the Seiko Pogue to the Eterna Kon-Tiki, the window for these prices is narrowing. Use this information to find an edge in the market. Subscribe for our weekly analysis of the moves before they happen and the stories before they break. We will see you in the next